Thank you so much for coming here.
Hello.
All right, to those of you guys who are listening on Spotify, you can't see their beautiful faces. Well, hop onto YouTube or not later. But with me, I have two of my friends. On my left is Melissa Campbell. Hello.
Hello.
And on my right, I feel like a ringleader. On my right, we've got Suyen. All right, ladies, maybe do a very quick introduction of yourselves. I'm pretty sure you guys are no stranger to our audience, but for the sake of that introduction, let's just go for it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mel. And she's what I do.
Yeah,
what I do. I am an actress.
Yeah.
I do film, TV stuff. Basically, I just play pretend for a living.
Love that. And what about you, Suyen?
My name is Suyen. I'm a makeup artist, and I also share a lot of like our family life on social media. So I do some social digital content, and just share DIY stuff online as well.
I would like to call you the DIY queen. And that's really one of the reasons why you are here with us today for this very special conversation. So I'm going to dive right into it. We're going to talk about first homes in general. You know, I think all of us have had the experience of renting a home and now buying a home. So all three of us are living in a home that's yours, right? So let's talk about that. Okay, I've been renting pretty much my whole life as soon as I moved to KL. What about you ladies? Have you rented before?
I have, like, ever since I left for college, I told Minghan this, like, I've used to move every 2 years. So
relate.
college and then uni and then like first job and then I've just been moving 2 years until recently when we moved into our new home. So I told Minghan, like, I hope like this is it. I don't have to move anymore. I'm just like settled in this home for a good many years to come.
It is very draining moving.
Yes.
Packing up and go, you know, from a place that you call home, right?
Yeah.
It's tough.
But you kind of get into a habit of like decluttering to not like, right?
Yes.
Because you're like, okay, I'm going to move. So if I'm not going to bring this with me, I'm not going to buy this.
Yes. Right? I feel like it makes you the opposite of a hoarder because I'm the same. I have moved every year of my life since I was 18. Barring like last year, 2 years was the most I've been in that studio. That's the longest I've been. But ever since I left high school and I moved to the States, I lived in New York for 5 years. And after that, I moved to LA for about 3 years. And I was moving every single year. And but the good thing is that you get rid of a lot of stuff. Like you get really good at being minimal and you don't hold like sentimental attachments to your items. So that's one plus. Like I tell people think I have like a lot of things because I'm like, guys, I don't have a lot of clothes. I just really don't. I just learned. I really don't. I just kind of, you just learn not to accumulate and also learn to let go.
Yeah, because you have so many rounds of like practice, right? In the sense that you didn't know what is needed.
Yes, and it makes me also want to live with less, I feel.
Yeah,
Same.
I agree. I mean, I think all three of us have had that moving every other year in the first few years of our 20s or at least our entire 20s. I'm the same, but maybe when it comes to clothing, I still have a lot. So it's always a
You need
struggle.
a lot of clothes.
But when it comes to furniture, yes, you're right. Whenever I rent, I see something really pretty, but I know there's no way I can like move this to the new place. It's just not practical. Also, I think a lot of people have this mindset that, you know, why are you paying rent when you should just buy a house yourself? I think that's a very common Asian, what's it called?
Like mentality.
That, oh yeah, you're paying rent to this person's house. Why help them pay their mortgage when you can just buy it yourself? The money you can just pay for your own house, but that's not how it seems. It's not as simple as that, right? So I'm sure you can agree.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to share your sentiment on that.
I think that's the same. Like, I think when we started renting, right? So if you pay like 2,000 plus a month, and then you were here, they say like, if you're going to pay 2,000 plus, that's the same you could pay for a mortgage, and it's a home that you will own eventually.
Yes.
And so I think also once you own a home and you go through the process of purchasing, and then while you own a home, you realize there's actually a lot of fees that comes along with a house that you wouldn't have to pay if you are renting it.
Yes.
So even things like if you own a home, there's a lot of legal documents and a lot of things that you need to pay, and then comes with a house, you need to pay your bills, and then with all the cukai, takseran, all the cukai that you wouldn't pay, and the management fees that comes with it, that, you know, if you're renting, no matter what, if there's repairs, your owner pays for it.
Correct.
You just pay for your bills and your rent. But when you own your home, there is a lot of additional cost that comes with it as well, that I think people don't realize until they stay. Then you realize, actually, I'm paying 3,000 plus a month.
More than what you're renting.
More than what you're renting, and a lot more responsibilities. When something goes wrong or like something breaks, you pay it yourself. You don't have a landlord to go to.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I think, of course, that's something that people have to learn the hard way. And I think some people have. So if you haven't, and if you're considering buying, I think it really is a huge commitment.
Yeah, you have to talk to other people who owns to get a better understanding. So I think it's just to raise your expectation a bit on what actually is the whole picture.
Yeah, and I just feel like also don't feel less than, because a lot of people feel that pressure of like, you should go buy. I'm like, whoa, we're all at different stages. We're all, and it's a very different time from when our parents were living when it comes to buying. And not everybody is, their first home is not necessarily everybody's forever home. And it's a scary thought to be like 30 years, right? So I feel like that's a decision you really want to come into in its own time, right? You don't want to rush into it. You think you have to come out of uni and then I must buy a house before I must do all these things. I'm like,
sometimes that's what people feel also. Before you get married, you need to own a car, you need to own a house, and like have this stability before you propose. And I think for a while, like Ming Han also thought that was going to be like the rough plan. But honestly, later on also, his mom talked to him like, do you really feel you need to own a house to provide stability for your family? And the truth is not. It's okay if you rent for the rest of your life also.
Actually, that's
if you have the option to purchase a home, it's great because you have an additional asset. Right? And then eventually if you want to sell it or you want to pass on to your kids, it's great. But it's not something I feel people should feel they're less than, like you said.
Because I don't own a home, I'm not
rent.
good enough or I'm not successful enough.
Yes.
But I have seen successful people who don't own a home. They just have other form of investments, right?
And what they now find that they prefer the lifestyle of renting. Because like you said, all of the additional things you don't need to think about. You don't have to think about the maintenance. And then when you want to, okay, let's go, we close, let's move on to the next adventure.
And in some, if their jobs requires them to maybe 5 years down the road, you want to migrate or like move. So when you don't have a commitment of a home, then it gives you a bit more flexibility. Like, okay, I just need to uproot my life and go. And I don't have this entire thing to think of.
And by the way, guys, whatever we're sharing right now is really like personal preference and opinions. But if you have any input, feel free to drop it in comments and let us know. I think this is such an interesting conversation because I have done quite a bit of research before I bought my first home. And there's this also common perception or like a way of doing is your first home should never be your forever home. It should always be an investment. But I don't quite agree with it because personally I feel like I'm not that savvy enough to be able to invest in a property myself. And I know it's not as easy as just buy a house, invest in it. There's just so much to go about it. So yeah, I don't think you should feel pressured to make sure that your first property is for investment. I think everyone is different. They have different intentions of buying a home. There's just no one size fits all method or ways to do things, right?
Yes. I totally agree.
Yeah. And what else? I have some questions for you ladies actually. So, Suyen especially. So, when you guys bought this home, what were some of the difficult decisions that you had to make? Like,
so for us, when we got married, we started renting, and because we haven't lived together before, right? So renting was a great decision because then we got to see how we actually utilize the space together. How do we operate better work-wise? Do you need more space? Do we spend more time in the kitchen? All these things were what we figured out when we started living together. So our furnitures we had also was whatever we had in our own home. So all my furniture was like white. And then all his furniture was like dark brown. So that was the theme of our first home, right? It's like both of this combined together. So it wasn't really any theme.
Yeah.
But we thought like, okay, maybe 2 years then we can slowly look. And then after that I got pregnant, and then like looking at home wasn't like a priority.
Yeah.
But then we weren't really actively looking for a home. But we had a family friend who was a property agent. And then whenever there are like great properties with great price, she would let my mom-in-law know. So my mom-in-law knows I love to look at houses. So she always called me like, hey, come, we go see house together. Yeah. So we looked at a few homes, and one of the homes that we saw was the one that we're currently living. And it was a very beautiful structure.
Yeah.
Because it was built quite old. So it had the plan was very like family oriented. They had like a room downstairs in case there's like elderly people and stuff. But I think with that, came the decision whether do we actually want. It wasn't in our timeline to purchase a home. And I think that was a difficulty in like, we found a beautiful home, but is it the right timing for us? If you wait, will this deal go off?
Yeah.
Right? So it was a lot of thinking. But I think for us, we felt that it was a good, like, let's just try and put in an offer. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't go, then never mind lah.
Yeah.
So we just put in an offer. We put in an offer 30,000 lesser than what was it, because the market price was actually a very good deal already. And then I think the owner really wanted to sell, so he met our offer pretty close. Wow. So then we were down to like, we thought like, okay lah, the owner said cannot. Then okay, it's okay, no need to proceed. Then when it came back, then we were down to, do we want it?
Yeah.
Like, could this be what we were waiting for?
Yes.
And then I think after discussing a few rounds, then we decided we would go for it lah.
Yeah.
And then came along all the process that we learned along the way. And I think turns out to be the greatest decision that we wouldn't have thought it was great back then. Then now with COVID and as we lived in, I really feel like there's no great timing where you feel like this is it.
Right.
I think without the pressure of looking while you're just scouting, it gives you a better mindset to like, if this is right, we go for it. If it's not, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So there's no pressure to look. Out of 10 units, one must be the one.
Right. So just keep an open mind when you go for house shopping, right? Mel, did you go for house shopping in the process before you guys moved into this current home? And how was that like for you?
Yes, we did. We looked, we went to places, and I think, okay, I feel like here in Malaysia, you still have a little bit more, it's more chiller.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit more chill with how you can go and look at things and places.
In comparison to
New York.
Okay.
Like fighting, is it?
Oh, I've heard the escrow. I've heard about it. I don't know what that means.
Compared to when you're trying to look in New York, where you're like, you need to go in and if you see a place and
you
you're
have
ready
to do it
might be gone 5 minutes later,
be gone 5
right?
minutes because the person behind you be ready. You have to have your like
Super
deposit ready.
competitive.
It's very competitive, and you have to like put that down here. Yes,
Even rentals.
Yes, more so rental, like even worse. Even worse. You gotta be ready, and the next person behind you is gonna put that money. You gotta make the decision. You're like, oh my god, and yes. Oh my god.
So I understand your context now. So we're quite chill, I would say. Yeah.
Did you feel it? I feel like it's still
in comparison to
it's still a bit more. It's still a bit more chill. We did look, and for me, in the stage that we are in now, like, because we briefly did stay in a
studio apartment.
And before that, I've actually stayed in a landed property here, and I stayed with 2 of us. And I found like for where we are at in life, the maintenance of a landed is a bit too much. As a bit too much when both of us are still we're still young, trying to get our lives going, working on our work and our career and all that. So we found for us that an apartment was more suited to our like lifestyle than it was for a landed. And so we had to think about that. We had to think about budget. We had to think about what makes sense for us. Yeah, so that's kind of how we came to the decision of like, this place where we are is the right place for us.
Apartment is better than a landed. Security as well.
That's true. Also security, and overall, I just feel like it's easier to maintain.
Yeah, I did view a ton of houses before I found my current one. I would say the past 2 years I've been house shopping, but not so much with the intention of buying it. Really, it's like
Go see.
I just look see la, and the more I look, the more I see, the more I enjoy looking and seeing.
Do you feel like the more you see, then you know, like, I like certain things in this house, I don't like.
Yes. So Joseph and I started kind of like when we have nothing to do on a Sunday, you know what, just drive to Setialam and just go and look at all the showrooms, houses, and that's what we did. And we kind of enjoyed that pastime. And then the more we look, we see, and then the more that we hear from all these salesperson, the more we understand, okay, there's so much to owning a home as well. Like, okay, there's pricing, and then there's developer's price, but then the difference between sub-sale and this and that.
Yeah.
So then I also realized that maybe I don't really like a brand new development because I have to wait like 5 years.
Yes.
And I really don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. Maybe I don't like it anymore. And then what happens? I've already put down my money. So I think it really boils down to personality. Some people are okay with that. They can vision what do you call it? A floor plan. They can envision what it's like. They have experience. Maybe they are previously a property investor, so they're like, yeah, this one in 3 years, no problem. By then I should be able to buy it and rent it out, right? But for me, I need to see it in bricks and walls and in actual condition, and understand like what's the management like. What's the community like? Who's going to be living there? Who will be my neighbors?
Yes.
Right?
That is actually like
yours
one
is a
thing that
too, right?
So yeah, we are a second-hand owner.
Yeah.
And same also, like one thing we didn't really want, personally I didn't want a brand new also because you don't know, when you pay, you don't know if the developer will do a good job.
Yes.
Like, what if like there's pumping issues and like there's a lot of fuss after? And also newer areas, they usually have different floor plans nowadays. Because now like, okay, maybe people don't cook as much at home. So their kitchens are smaller compared to older layouts. Their kitchens are bigger because it's more family oriented. But one thing I always tell people when they look for a place, like, you always need to check who is your neighbor. If it's a grumpy old person and like, you know, they like,
it's tough.
Yeah, you can't live with, and you're going to buy a house.
And
are
that's
you
like
going to
30
be
years
okay
commitment,
with
or
it?
at least even if you're going to sell eventually, 15 years, sure. That's a long time.
Yeah, you want to like a, hey, auntie.
Yes. Your daughter's so nice. You want to, I have some cake. You want some? I like neighbors like that.
Yes.
But not too nosy. Okay, maybe a fine line.
Just friendly.
Just friendly and not grumpy. I've had grumpy neighbors. But there's good and bad. Like, some people don't mind it because they just mind their own business.
Yeah.
But if they don't mind their own business, they're always kind of like picking on you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
Because especially you do renovation, it's going to cause a lot of like risk, you know, there's
Distress.
dust and there's sound. And it's always good to like know if your neighbors is just considerate people and they're nice people, then it's an extra plus.
Yeah.
And also I think community, like if you are, like for us when we look, we had Haley, then I think our priorities changed as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we were newlyweds looking for a place, I think we would have looked for something a little different.
Yeah.
Then now with Haley, we need look, is this the area that you want to raise her in?
Yeah.
School-wise, friends, a lot of things to consider more as well when you look for a place.
I think that's very true. The neighbors are quite important. The community that you're in, the area. So would you guys, okay, I have a question because I think there's a lot of options nowadays. Okay, let's just say we haven't bought our place right now. We don't have our forever home right now and you're shopping. And there is this very beautiful home that's priced at a very tempting price, and you love everything about the home, absolutely everything, community, people, neighbor, but it's like an hour away from where you always at.
No.
I don't know.
I almost did, I almost fell for it because when they sell you that lifestyle, you have everything here. It's like
you'll be fine for the first
Maggy.
month.
Never see you no more.
Your friends list just kind of 50%.
there are people who would, right?
Yeah.
So it really is down to a personal preference. I safe to say all three of us is like, no.
I think if like you're constantly working from home and like your friends are also staying in the area, then I think you have something to consider.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly commuting half an hour every day with jam, I think after a while, it might get a bit tiring lah.
So remember I said I went to Setia Alam. Okay, that's like not even 1 hour.
Oh yeah,
30 minutes.
Right?
It's far.
It's far, but 30 minutes. I saw a place, I thought, wow, okay, quite cheap. Good, nice.
Nice also.
So what we did was every other weekend, we take a drive down.
Yeah.
So we tried it.
Did you go at different times of the day?
Yeah.
Because you want to see it when it's at night. That's
We
another
did
tip.
that.
Go and see the apartment or the place. Go see what it looks like different times of the day.
How
You
it
need
looks
to see
like in
that.
the day,
Yes.
at
How the
night,
traffic looks
sunset.
like.
How the traffic looks like. What the people look like.
So the first drive there after coming out of the showroom, wow, this is tempting. Let's consider this.
Right.
The second drive, wow, jam very bad. The third drive, wow, very far. The fourth drive, yep, we're not buying this.
What was I thinking about?
So it went from within a month. We went from I think we're gonna get this to nope, never, not right now.
Did you ask your friends like, hey, if I live here, you come?
I brought them
visit?
over. I brought them over. Guys, come. This house very nice, very nice. Come with us. The next round, bro, very far, bro. I come to your house. I'm not gonna come see you. You're gonna come over to PJ, you know.
Yeah.
So, so those are the little tip that I think I can give you if you really like a home at a certain location. Go for a drive there in the neighborhood often or before you make a decision. I think I would not make a decision based on my first emotion.
Yeah.
That's
Give
a
it
good
some
tip.
time, right?
Yes.
I think especially when all these salespeople, they're very convincing. I almost put in my money many times. Almost get them to check because they're so good at it. I mean, that's their job.
Like you cannot get anywhere with this price anywhere
This is
else,
the last you need, you know. I already have 2 in a waiting list, but I'm giving you first. I'm just like, wow, okay, if I don't do now, I'm never going to get it again. But don't worry, guys, there will be more units. Yeah.
I think convenience is always going to be key. Like you would rather stay in something less, but it's closer,
Yeah.
than to have somewhere nicer, but
agree.
it's further.
But yeah, if you think about it, time is money.
Time is money.
The time you spend in that traffic, it's gonna cost you quite a bit in the long run. The amount of money you spend on petrol, traveling back and forth, and I just cannot imagine. I forget my dress and I have to drive 45 minutes back home, and then
Maybe 10 years down the road, then more people move there. Then eventually,
yes. So like, let's
it's
say
not
Mel
so
moves
bad.
there also, and then Suyen moves there, and like we are like maybe in our 50s, our kids are like whatever, and my kids can hire me a driver. Sure, I'll live there. But right now, my love's here. Right in like PJ KL. So
City girls.
Okay, I think the reason why I got the both of you here is really to maybe give our audience a little bit of a tip when it comes to home renovations. So we won't be diving deep into the technicalities of buying a home. I would like to have an episode on that to fully educate us all. But right now, it's just really our own personal experience when it comes to buying a home. I'm about to renovate my home.
Woo!
So ladies, give me some tips. Any renovation nightmares that you've been through, and what are the first 3 steps, I would say, or if there's more, sure, you should take before even deciding on your renovation? Mel, yours is quite recent.
Quite recent.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Yeah, we just moved in December. This was delayed. The project was delayed already 3 years because of COVID.
Yeah.
Not because of COVID. It just was delayed because of a whole bunch of things and COVID. And then same thing was supposed to start our renovations earlier, and then we couldn't because of the lockdown, because we actually already started planning and doing this all a year ago. So the first step that we did was, one, budget. Setting a budget. Because the reality is you will always go over. So budget is the first thing. We did work with an ID. So we went out and asked for referrals, and we actually met with a lot of different IDs, because the same thing with a place, one ID is not going to fit all. In terms of your own taste, your own personal style, and even your rapport.
Yeah.
You want to be able to work with somebody that you can kind of get along with. So we met with a whole bunch of different IDs, and IDs will have different, they'll have different rates.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll have different rates. So some do design, they charge design fee. Some have design plus build. So we got a bunch of different quotations. We had them come and see, and we actually wanted them to propose to us, because I wanted to see kind of what
their vision
and what they can bring to the table, and then find if we can, okay, this is a good fit, you know? So we ended up working with One Paperworks. What we liked about them was that they put a lot of effort into their proposal. You know, you felt like I feel like they wanted to work with us, and they wanted to have the job. And you feel that when someone's heart is there, then you feel like, okay, because this is your home.
Yes.
You want to hopefully work with somebody that is
passionate, cares
and puts their passion into that as much as you do. So that was a really good fit. So yeah, we proceeded. When it came into, for me, I love design. I actually, part of my part-time job I did when I was in the States, and this didn't pay the bills. I was still bartending, so working as a waitress as well. I worked as an assistant to a designer. Her name was Natasha Jan's Design. And I had the opportunity to assist her on like HGTV kitchen makeover and seeing that process. I just loved it. So this was very exciting for me, like just the opportunity to finally get to work on a space that is our own. And the first thing I did was look for inspiration. Pinterest. You know,
what will we do without Pinterest?
Yes, because you also need to remember that your ID, you need to communicate with them. It's very important that you communicate. You cannot assume that they're just going to...
Kind of like two total strangers coming together. I mean, they wouldn't know what you love and don't love. You gotta have to communicate that,
There's a little bit of play, so there's a back and forth. And the more you can present to them like your vision and your this for them to kind of execute, the better. The better. And along the way, there was a lot of stuff that I learned. It's my first time going into it. So what else? I don't know. What else do you like me to say, Maggie?
You know, Mel is so happy just talking about her home. Like, I can feel her joy and energy talking about it.
What is the biggest like decision when it comes to, because you use the interior designer, right? And I think a lot of people would also have questions like, how do you decide on an interior designer, or like what are some questions you set apart one designer from the other?
Okay, definitely it comes to design style. Also, it comes to their own style and their own aesthetic. Some may be a little bit more that, there's like the maybe more modern, some are maybe more that bachelor style.
So they're more like who are they do more of a certain style.
Yes, and I will say though, actually at first that ID that we worked with, our styles were a bit different. Like they'll even say the first proposal that they gave, and even they were like, okay, no, look, those are ugly. So we had to really had to fine tune that in the end. But it was about, for me, it was the heart. And it was that I felt like, wow, they have the heart to, they got the heart and they have the effort to wanna do this. And that for me was what stood out. Yeah.
But Suyen, you are like the complete opposite. You didn't have an ID.
So we didn't hire an ID.
You did it yourself. You were the ID.
So it was a lot of also learning of what an ID, from what I thought an ID's job or role was, and eventually as we do, and then I realized that actually why having an ID is also going to be very helpful for a lot of people. I think for us, because we're quite creative. Like we had a vision of what the house is going to be and we could envision it. We just didn't know what materials. We didn't have the knowledge of what materials are in the industry. You may see something in Pinterest, but how do we translate that into like this color? This is not off-white. What off-white? You got like 30 shades of off-white color. Which one would be suitable? And these are all a lot of knowledge that we didn't have. And and when you deal with contractors, they are not aesthetic people. They're just like, you want white? Okay, this white, But then a designer can tell like, oh, there's a lot of different shades of white and like different types of texture. And I think having, without having an ID, that was what I myself had to really research and spend more time to like get more quotations, to visit more showrooms, to see what actually materials are out there. But I was very thankful to have a girl that I got to know, and she was an interior designer, and she was very, very kind for me to like hop on to her brain and say like, this is what I really want, but I don't know if this is possible in Malaysia. And I think that's one thing people see like on Studio Maggy and like all this, very Angmoh style. But then when you come to Malaysia, like why like 6:30 kind of
That's what they said to me.
material?
Oh, your style is very Angmo style. Because my style was something that ID had never really done before. So they took a lot of iterations. From why we decided to go with an ID was that we didn't want to, I wanted to avoid mistakes. At first I thought about doing it myself. But I knew that I would probably mess up. I don't know how to do technical 3D drawings. I was worried about communicating with the contractors. And like you said, I was worried about mistakes because mistakes cost money.
Oh yeah, in this case,
mistakes cost a lot of money. So I thought, okay, like we're doing this, we're already spending this amount. Let's just do it properly because I was very nervous. I didn't want to like, wow, let me make a mistake and then having to redo the whole cabinetry or really doing the whole that. So in that aspect, it gives you peace of mind.
Yes.
That felt for me, it gave me that.
That's what definitely an ID can do.
Yeah.
So if you do have the budget for an ID, definitely it's going to be worth it if you find the right one. Absolutely, yes.
I think, or even have an interior designer to help envision it for you.
Yeah.
So like the design, I think because you said you can hire interior design just to do your design concept, right?
Just to the design.
So like I think a lot of people who don't know what their style is. I think like our house is very Japandi, which is like Scandinavian and Japanese. So it's like very minimalist, a lot of white.
Is that what Japandi stands for?
It's a fusion of Japanese and Scandinavian. To be honest, when we started, I don't know what my style was. I just knew like when you, I think people who don't know, you just Pinterest and then later on you kind of see what's the common theme around. Is it like you
elements
that very warm or like more cool tones, and then I think from that, after we did at home, then after I found out, oh, there's a word called Japan. I guess that's my thing.
I always thought it's just like another style of more Japanese direction. I didn't know it's Scandinavian.
It's like rustic but minimalist.
Minimalist,
so
sleek
like
and clean.
not fully Scandinavian, but a bit of a Japanese element. Okay.
But I think like, doing self on your own, what's also good is you get more flexibility to decide what you want. I think if there's no time crunch, it's really not a bad idea to do it yourself as well. But if you don't know what your style is, it helps getting an interior design to help just conceptualize like, okay, this kind of wood, but what kind of wood you like? Because they have the knowledge. So they kind of pair it with what you want and what actually can be done within your budget.
I mean, just flooring alone, there's SPC and then there's
different materials and also different warmth. And sometimes by choosing a very warm floor, it will eliminate a lot of different furniture choices already. So sometimes they go for something very neutral floor so that you have more options on your furniture.
Because some flooring like can be very orangey.
Yes, some very grey also.
Yes. So what was yours? Yours is more neutral tone?
I have like an entire box, so I pretty much reached out to like 7 different floor specialists.
Oh wow.
And then so what they'll come is you call them for a quotation, they come look at your house, you tell them what they want based on the code, what you like, and then they'll bring samples. So I just collected a lot of samples and then you compare lah. And then you got furniture at home, then you put next to each other. Okay, what is match? You create your little mood board.
True.
I think the more you see, the more you realize a bit more. And then what furnitures you like and see whether they can match or not. And then eventually what I found helpful was I just created a mood board. So either you have like Microsoft Word or Adobe Illustrator, you just pull different elements inside and then whatever materials you find, just get a lot of samples and then once you create a mood board, then you can give your interior designer, you say like, oh, I like this, can you what concept is this? Can you help me envision this in a space? Then they can do drawings. 3D drawings help a lot.
3D drawings. I thought it wasn't important because we thought, no need lah. It's okay. It's
I can imagine, right?
No, like I though, because my fiance is even less. He needs to like really see it and like visualize it. But those 3D drawings were very important because he really so many changes just based on those 3D drawings. We saw and we were like, oh.
Because you can give the contractor also say like, I want this brown.
And you really need to put everything up because there's so many levels and so many people like along the way that mistakes will happen. And even with an ID, mistakes still
happen. Yes.
Yeah, you want to
I remember
be,
the tile situation in the bathroom.
situation. So
what happened? Tell us.
The thing is, I think one of my tips that I have to give you guys when you're doing this, even if you have an idea, if you're doing it yourself, is that you really want to be as hands-on as possible. Do not assume that someone's going to cover it. You know, this will avoid having you they'll tell you to do any.
Yes, I'm about to start.
Visit on site.
Always to try and visit on site, and it ask as many questions. There's no stupid questions. Always ask, because they're only human, you know.
Yeah.
And for us, we had our flooring was coming in. Ours is SPC flooring, and that's because hardware flooring was very expensive for us. We felt like we'll go for SPC. With SPC flooring that day, our ID did happen to be there when the stuff arrived. I wasn't there when it arrived. And the next thing I know, I see a picture and I'm like, wait a second, that's gray.
The floor is gray.
It's gray. And they've already installed the whole lot of floor. Yeah. And I was like, no. And so this has happened a few times. We managed to be on there, be like, wait.
Check,
is that correct? I've had things installed already and we're like, wait. But that's not right.
Yeah.
And this could all be prevented if when the stock comes in,
check before install.
Check before install. And maybe you think, okay, maybe someone's got it, the ID's got it, but I mean,
So was it a wrong flooring?
Completely wrong material.
It was completely the wrong color.
I have a question then. So who takes responsibility for that?
In that situation, the ID takes responsibility, but they're able to resolve it. But there's a delay because we had to reorder it, and that costs a month because your floors have to go in before your cabinetry go in. So all these little things can have
There's a
delay.
system, right? Because you can't put your carpentry first and then your flooring because
so all of these things can cause delays, can cause extra costs and all that stuff. But that's the way it's just be there, be really hands-on, be really hands-on, and just double check, and
and I think also whenever you see something wrong, I think for us who don't know anything, sometimes when you ask the contractor or the carpenter, right, then you say it's like that one, 是这样的, 是这样的. Then you're a bit scared because you don't know. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
But the one big tip is always put your foot down and say this is not what I ordered.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be like that. Fix it.
I'm like that. I'm a bit more you're
scared to
never mind.
tell.
But then I was like, no. You need to
you
say
paid for it, so
it's
you
not
gotta get it right?
Even if things were a bit off, you're like,
she can fix one. They don't want to fix one.
Yeah.
But if you push it and say no, if they feel that
how do you do that? Because
then they will fix it one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, having an interior designer, sometimes they have the authority to say no, this is not acceptable.
Yes. And you as a client can say no lie, I just cannot accept that. It's your hard-earned money. It's your hard-earned money. It's the place that you're going to live. And that I think was also an interesting that I learned is we'll just stand up. You come put on your big girl boots and just say, take a attention. I can't.
我不喜欢.
Because it's, don't be bullied.
Uncle, 怎么这样的？不可以 Uncle, 我真的不可以。
or make friends with their contractor. Buy them food.
Be nice with them.
Uncle, 不可能 change lah. I'll change for you lah. I mean, the only renovation experience I had was with my studio. Even that was a total nightmare. Definitely be friends with the contractor because they're going to build your home. So give them a bit of love and buy them food.
And also remember, everybody's human, so mistakes will come along the way. So even when we were planning and looking at the drawings, we were asking a lot. We're like, why did you choose this? Why are we going with this decision? Why are we having this? Do we need this many lights? Do we need this? And really...
Yeah, I think being hands-on, I think that's a very good tip.
Because sometimes if you just say, but to you feel like they should know it. But for them, really, they're just man labor, right? They're like, I'm supposed to fix a cupboard, but then the door cannot close. You have to really point out and tell them. I think that's what we pay. Sometimes we pay a bit cheaper, but then comes with maybe QC a bit more. So, I mean, sometimes if you want to save money, then you have to be a bit more hands-on to catch things like this.
And also the good thing about having an ID is IDs usually have contractors that they have already worked with. They're used to that. They could have good relationship and your ID would know, yes, this guy is reliable. He can do a good job. And that's why we are going to get her for this project. So I want to give a shout out to Ma Adi. Carmen, I mean, she's amazing. I can trust her, and we are both very, very hands-on. We communicate. She asks me, and I ask her a lot of questions. So why is this tile different from that one? Then she'll tell me ceramic and porcelain is different. They both look exactly the same on the outside, but when it comes to functionality, blah blah blah. So I have a very quick story. Like when it comes to tiles, I wanted to do something out of the box. So my vibe is I like, you know, the Berlin houses, very European. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been posting those sort of...
Yes, I know. I love that style.
Yeah, that's my vibe. But you don't see it in Malaysia much at all. Like most homes are like, you know, it comes with a house, they will just add some furnitures and that's about it. But both you ladies really put in so much love into your house and it really makes it your own. But yeah, I'm trying to do that for myself, right? So I wanted to do this particular tile for my toilet. It's very different. It's a tile that nobody uses for toilet. And it's called the terracotta, the orange one.
The terracotta?
It's really beautiful.
The one with the
orange,
the
orange
speckles
one.
Inside? Or is it the terracotta?
Not terracotta, terracotta. That's terrazzo.
Terrazzo.
Yeah, not terrazzo. The terracotta, the orange looking one.
Yes.
Like brick looking, but it's beautiful. Because my thinking is this, if I can use it outdoors, people use it outdoors, is so durable, it can last in my toilet that's indoor, right? But no. She came back to me, it's like, Maggie, we cannot use this. I mean, it's gonna look good, but contractors say your shampoo and all that, the chemicals is gonna affect the tiles. So I'm like, oh, okay, never mind, change our direction. So yeah, so that's the good thing about having an ID. And that's a good thing about having an ID that has their own team of people that have worked with. Every ID will have their own, right? So that's what I've learned. Also being hands-on, asking questions is very important because at the end of the day, you are going to be the one who's living in that space for like an X amount of time. So I'm very sad I cannot get my favorite tile.
You put somewhere else or not?
Yeah, I'm like, where else can I put out? My house not very big. But yeah, those are some of the things that I've learned, like porcelain and ceramic.
It's quite interesting, right? Especially if you're interested in like this and to know the knowledge, like, ooh, I didn't know about that.
There's just so much to it. Like, wow. I mean, I have much more to learn and a lot more materials to source. But do you guys, or you, Suyen, because you didn't have an ID, you went straight to the contractor. Were there any nightmares that happened?
They were very similar. Like for us, one wasn't because of the vendor. It was because our area, the house that we stayed, we didn't have like a floor plan. And then we reached out to management and stuff, but nobody had a floor plan apparently.
Of your house?
Of the house.
Oh, interesting.
So we wanted, you saw our kitchen before. So our kitchen, we kind of broke down the room inside to make it a very big kitchen. So we had a wall dividing the dry and wet kitchen that we wanted to break. So we consulted a lot of people and like 8 say can break down the wall, 2 say maybe it's structural wall, cannot take down. So we did our 3D rendering everything without the wall inside.
Right.
On the first day of renovation, 9 o'clock, I got a call. Suyen, problem. 9 o'clock got problem? Cannot take down the wall because it's a structural wall. So
what
pretty
is
much
a structural wall?
Because it's a double-story house. That wall kind of holds it up. So there are walls that you can take down, but walls that is there's like metal and stuff inside, you cannot. You just cannot. It's a structural wall. So I said, okay, never mind. Maybe you try. Maybe it's just a pillar, and you can break down the inside in the middle. Then
so you have
we can
2
still
pillars.
work with it. Then he knocked, but he was very careful. Our contractor was really good. He slowly a bit. Suyen cannot. The whole wall cannot take down. I panicked. I like. But our entire kitchen design was surrounding that because it was supposed to be a big island in the middle. So Pinterest lah. I was a big believer like if something don't happen, we can always turn it around into something cool. So Pinterest lah, Pinterest. And then we decided, okay, since you cannot build the island to remove the wall, we're just going to build the island around the wall. So it turned out to be a very unique feature in our home where we built an island and then we have extra shelves on one side because of the wall. So that was one nightmare, but every day I was just putting out fires, like one day got pipe break and then another day got errors here and there. But I went on site almost every day.
I'm so scared now.
And our contractor was very communicative lah. So communication very key. So he'll be like, the night before, suddenly I get an idea. I say, hey, I want to change. And then he was very flexible.
Okay.
The thing you learn, or I'm being told, is that it's gonna be a process that you're doing for life as long as you're in your place. It's going to be. It will never be done.
It will never be done.
It will never be. It will never be.
In what
finished.
way? What do you mean?
Like you constantly. It will never be done. There will always be something
okay.
that maybe you want to add or something you want to be changed. Something you need to maintain. Something you need to like. So, sometimes we feel. I need to have it complete. I need to have it finished. We need to have it, but it's okay. Like you do everything, do it in parts, and do everything in stages. And like you said, when you live there, and sometimes all these problems become blessings, right?
Yeah, because I think when you even when we started renovation, because it was a big transformation from the before and after. So a lot of things we couldn't imagine finish. But as they were renovating, then as we saw, we're like, I got an idea. Because you see of like the current state. And then you kind of change your plans along the way. And I think even before reno and now, like my attention for detail has sharpened so much just because of all the things that I had to learn.
Hairline crack, I see it.
Yeah, so I help like friends who are like reno, are like, oh, make sure you check this doesn't look right and stuff.
Yeah, I go to Suyen quite a bit.
So like that, I think if you're along the way, your design appetite also grows. Like your knowledge grows, then you will like different things, right? Your style evolves. Then it's kind of good also you do it in parts. Then as you recuperate your savings, you can do it well. Then to have to make decisions based on like a tiny budget, and it's not something that you like.
Don't compromise for that. That's a very good tip because like for me, I'm currently about to start my renovation. And I knew from the start that I know I won't be able to make big changes for the whole house. There will be some compromise I need to make. For instance, like, okay, this part of the house, I won't have budget for it yet. It's okay. But I'll focus on the most important foundation, like the kitchen, the bathroom, and the flooring, because I think flooring once you live in,
do first.
You always do flooring first. You won't want to change after you live in. All the furniture, how are you going to remove and like replace them? So I currently, for me, straight up, my budget is only enough for foundational works. And I'm gonna just stick to it, like lighting, plumbing, water works, and a bit of the kitchen hacking. And everything else, I would love to do it, but I'll keep it for part 2. And that's the realistic part of owning a home and having a budget to work with. Of course, ideal world, if money is not an issue, sure. Right? And also, I think nowadays you see all these YouTube house tours. When they show their house, it's almost like you see it in that 5 minutes, but we don't know how much work goes into it. It could have been
much money is
it could have been like a 5-year journey that was documented in a 5-minute beautiful home tour. I mean, I'm sure celebrity homes take stages to complete too. So don't pressure yourself into having to complete the home right away. I think,
I think even for us also, we moved all our existing furniture inside first. And then along the way, every month we changed sofa, and then we changed table, and then we swap up. And then because there are a few people that you can reach out to donate your furniture to, that's what we did. We did with CRC, charity... collect for charity or something, CRC. They will actually come and then take your furniture, and then they can eventually sell and stuff. So we found that at least not so tight, like you feel you need to buy all new furniture to fit, because all our existing furniture didn't fit our current house style. But when we moved, it was just very clashing. My eyes also cannot. But we just said, now move first, and then slowly swap out furniture.
That's actually the way I like to approach my place and like design, is that some may say it's a bit slow. Like I still don't have my TV console. I still have, but I'm actually just, because I'm still looking for the piece that really speaks to me. And I think that's, for me at least, nothing wrong with that, because I love when a space is slowly curated, because it becomes more of your own. And it's filled with pieces that that you really, really love. And I think that's what makes a unique space. When it's slow, it's pieces that you find, whether that's a piece of maybe it's a piece of like this vintage artwork that you found in one store, and then you can from that take inspiration to build the space and colors around it. So no rush at all, because you do it slowly and you create it, and you will come up with something very, very unique.
I agree. And I think for me, right, when I first saw this home of mine, I didn't see it. I thought it was disgusting. Like, because the walls were green, the doors were green by the previous owner. I couldn't envision my home there. Obviously, that was through photos. So another tip I can give, go and check it out in person. In pictures, sometimes cannot see one.
No.
Okay, something just popped into my mind. I think another tip that I can give based off what you ladies have shared is, especially if you're going to buy a subsale house, like I think in the case of a subsale home, or even if it's a brand new home that's completely empty, sometimes it's very hard to envision. And you can't rely on... I've had showrooms that basically don't have... new property developments that don't have showroom. And I can't believe I almost put my money in for that. They basically give you like the 3D tour of the house. And because I had no experience, I almost went for it. And for this particular home that I finally put my money in for, that is now about to be renovated, not gonna lie, before when I first saw the photo, I didn't fall in love with it. I was like, ew, no, next. But I was told to just go and check it out myself. And when I went in, it was a different story.
Yeah.
I love how airy it was. I love the view. I love the space. It was a beautiful, like in terms of space, like the size.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everything else can go.
Yeah.
I can make it my own in my own way. And that's going to be the beauty of it. Yes, the before, the after, right? Yes. When it's completely empty or when it's...
The uglier the house is, the better transformation it will be.
I mean, seeing your before was also quite run down.
It was very run down. But when you go there, also when you visit, another tip is always take videos.
Yes.
Even you go to space, don't take photos. Take video and then like take everything. Even before you renovate, take like proper like...
I need to do that before.
Before each space, take a photo and then take video. Then later on, because along the way you keep on doing before after transformation. It's very rewarding. It's very fun.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Your space, it sounds like to me, has very interesting characteristics of it, right? And your kind of a design seems to be leaning towards
I personally, like I said, because I went for home shopping for so many times, I realized I don't like, no offense guys, it's personal preference, okay? I don't like the new developments because it's very boxy.
Yes.
It's very small.
Yes.
I think we're around 700-800 square feet most of the time. And then they kind of like, even if it's 1,000, they squeeze 4 rooms into it.
Yeah.
I don't like layouts like that.
Yeah.
So I like Suyen said, older developments. There's a charm to it, and I fell in love with that charm.
Yeah.
Because I personally rented first. I think that's the good thing about being renters.
Yeah.
We get to experience all kinds of homes.
You learn what you like. You learn what you don't like.
I've lived, I mean, like you said, you moved every other year. There was this 1 year I moved 5 times. In that 1 year, it was tiring. At one point I was homeless. It's so tiring. I mean, you know, we can all relate to each other. So I've lived in a landed property. I've lived in a high rise. I've lived in a low rise. I lived in a townhouse. I've lived in all kinds of properties. So I think that's the good thing about not having a family home in KL. I just have to figure out where to go next. But because of my experience there, I somewhat have lived in all kinds of areas. Yeah, I've lived in Subang and Puchong, all areas when I was studying close to my uni, and then other areas as well. So I feel like I've covered most grounds. And a lot of people who have family homes, they only have stayed in the family homes before. So I think if you are someone who's like me, a bit of a nomad your whole life, there is a good side to it. You get to experience all kinds of living.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I have a personal question for you. So how does it feel knowing that you're going to be in your own, like finally, because the feeling for me is like just to be in a space that you're like, wow, this is my own place.
Your destination, right?
There's a peace that I feel. I'm excited for you because when you're there, it's just, for me, it was this feeling of peace and stability and some sense of groundedness that I can finally like.
That you belong, right? Like,
yeah. So.
Oh wow, this is going to be emotional. Because
I
think we can relate in a lot of ways, you know. How do I feel? I think it hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah.
I think I need to revisit this question when my house is finally ready, when that first day I wake up in my own home.
Yeah.
But as of now, I remember how emotional I was receiving the key.
Yeah.
The day I posted an announcement on my Instagram, that particular video, it was a very special moment because it was the day I received my key. I didn't feel like it was official until I got the keys in my hands, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a bit underwhelming, but when the emotion, I mean, that's it. You just gotta pass
Sometimes the
me a
defining
key.
moments are.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, okay, this is the process. And the agent just walked off. I'm like, oh, okay. So, but then I went into the house and I just looked around. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is mine. Like, this is all mine. It's insane because my whole life, I just felt like I never really had a home.
Yeah.
And for some people, they say don't buy a home. It shouldn't be an emotional buy. But I'm going to straight up say it is emotional for me. It means a ton for me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it, right? I don't know. I don't want to cry now, but I do feel exactly how you feel. I feel grounded. I feel at home. I feel safe, most importantly. I feel like if anything happens, my home will be there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been in situations where I'm forced to move out of a place because of shit and all that. Now no one can kick me out of this house. I mean, unless I don't pay my loan. But you know, I'm gonna make sure I work hard enough to be able to afford. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have taken this commitment. So yeah, feeling grounded and safe. What about you, Mel?
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, now you lived in. I haven't lived in yet, so.
When we were moving in, I say it was like really stressful because we were running crunch time. I had to be out on my rental.
You wanted to make it be ready by Christmas. Then
I was trying to, and there were delays because you will always have delays with your renovations. So always think about that. There's going to be delays, and you're always going to go over budget. You can try and manage it, but just plan for that lah. Oh, it was a crazy time. I had to be out of my place. The other one, we decided to be very hands-on and move everything ourselves. So I was like, oh my God, decided to do that. We're like, we can handle it, lah. It's okay. So we decided to do that. We were staying with family because again, it was delayed because of the flooring. It was delayed. So we were staying with family for a little bit. At the same time, moving everything, going in and watching how the renovations were going. And I was starting a project at that time for a series. So it was pretty
overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. I was incredibly stressed that you're saying maybe it was a bit underwhelming because I was just so much was like happening. But I think like a couple of like months in and now things are settled. I'm like, wow, I can feel overall in just my person this peace that I've been searching for. Like this peace of just like, wow, there's another level of like just to realize and everything. Yeah, I don't care. Everything is not done. You know, it's fine. Like, but to just wake up and have like your own space and the little things you're damn excited. You know, I buy this thing. I buy my little coaster from Shopee. Like it's on my place on my table. It's just all this stuff. And I feel like it's changed the way I also, you know, I feel every day and go around. I'm excited for you because it's gonna be for somebody people were moved around all the time and never having like that settled
never
space.
really have it. It's a sense of belonging.
Yes. And it's that ownership, you know. Like I think in the 20s like we want to like, okay, travel and do stuff. But I think once you reach a certain point in life, you kind of feel like that ownership means a lot. Because like you've worked so hard to reach to this point to be able to say like, oh, I own a place of my own. And then I think it comes with that. I think just gives you that sense like I have achieved a certain thing for your own peace lah. And you feel like there's an amount of success in your heart as well.
And a part of me, I'm very proud of myself.
You know what? You should be. You should be.
A part of me, because I remember this point of my life in my very early 20s, I told myself, I'm so I think it's the year I moved 5 times in a year. I was like, I'm so tired of this. One day, I mean, at the time I only had maybe like 2,000 ringgit in my bank account. But I told myself, one day I won't have to do this anymore. One day. I didn't know when the day was. So when the day finally came, it brought me back to that moment. That, oh my gosh, I did it.
So it makes it more emotional.
Yeah, so emotional in that sense that, oh my gosh. So now I can look forward to the next 10 years of my life. What are the goals and what I want to set for myself? And the goal that I did set for myself when I was 21, I managed to do it. You know what? I also want to just put it out there that I didn't do it because I'm about to turn 30. It was not so much that. I'm very grateful, thankful that everything just somewhat came together. Like I told you, I wasn't even shopping to buy a home, but almost like stars aligned. The deal just was right for me and time was right. And then that's why it happened. But on the outside, it may seem like, okay, I need to achieve this by a certain age. But the truth is, it's not so much that. Yeah.
It's fun also when you have your own place. When you rented, you're like, I cannot put up pictures.
You cannot nail the wall.
And the thing with the DIY, right, it's like, mistake in my mind, it's my own house. Nobody's going to score me.
No one to answer to.
I just flash back. So you feel a bit bolder to do stuff. If don't work out, it's okay.
Yeah. And I can finally be on a piece of furniture that I love.
Yeah.
Because all the rentals previously, even now, I don't super love them. I'm just make do
Just
with whatever.
right?
The color beta, but never mind, not my house. I tell you, my current rental, there's one room that they painted like bright yellow.
Oh.
I'm just like, wow, I saw every time I see. It's not a very pretty yellow. It's like a shit yellow.
Oh.
I understand.
And then the wall is white though. And then another part of the wall is cream. It's like 5 colors in a room. So
You're like, I need to get
so
out of it.
triggered. I even wanted to tell my landlord, hey, can I paint your house? And he's like, oh no, too much work. So for them, they don't really care because they just want you to pay your rent, which I understand. But I'm excited to make it my own eventually. So yes, I'm excited.
It will take time, no worries. I think our reno was like 3 months.
Yeah.
It took us like a year to get like curtains in with like, lockdown and then got close contact, COVID and all. Until now, I still got touch up that I haven't done a year plus in.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? That was such a nice chat. Just like that, we went on for about an hour. And I wish we have more time. Maybe part 2 for little things that when my renovation finally starts, I have more things to share. But right now, I'm just like taking notes. From both of you ladies. Budget is one thing. Being hands-on is another. Definitely know what you want, and it's okay to change your mind, but make sure your contractor is able to accommodate and communicate. And of course, at the end of the day, I think keep an open mind because the budget can easily be burst.
Manage your expectations.
Whatever it is, add on another 20% for
20 plus
reno.
Okay.
And then furnitures, I think along the way you can always add on. But I think because renovation, you have to prepare upfront, right? The cash at hand. So definitely add on another 20%. You will need
Furniture,
that.
later that
No rush for furniture. If you don't have your couch for the first few months, I think that's totally fine. Okay, we can do the house tour like later on. Okay,
now everyone like shop on Instagram like, hey, your house couch very nice. So a lot of people shop for our dining table that they see, then they buy for their house and stuff. And I think that's what helps a lot. So like we follow each one like in Malaysia who did a renovation, and we ask like, hey, this look very kind of amo. Where you get this from?
I love the community.
Yeah, the community.
That you have built too. I mean, Suyen has a Telegram, which I'm part of, by the way. I'm subscribed. I subscribed to it.
From the house, then like people started asking like, oh, where you buy? And then I started my Telegram stuff.
So you guys can follow Suyen on Instagram. Her Telegram link is there if you are like, planning to make over your home or renovate or buy a home. You need all these little knickknacks in the house or like tips. Suyen is a great person to go to. And Mel also documented some of your house processes as well. And you guys can also follow her at Hey Mel Bell. And ladies, I have 3 simple questions that I need you to answer in short sentences. Okay, to wrap this up. I'm trying to make this like a staple ending for all my episodes, okay? This is the second time I'm doing this. Okay, wait, not second, third time? Okay, never mind. So, Suyen, what are you currently head over heels for?
Ooh, I'm head over heels. Ooh,
so cute.
I know, that's the whole point.
Really, for now, it's really life with Haley.
I knew it. She's so
at
cute.
this age, I think it's really
and she can communicate.
Yes.
And you know what she's thinking.
Yes.
I love that.
Life at 3 is a wonderful age.
What about you, Mel? What are you head over heels for?
I have to say, like, I am actually head over heels for my little family, like me and like my fiance Winston and our little dogs, because seeing him, there's nothing more attractive than seeing your partner. In Mike is being so domestic. Like seeing him come into his own, like working together in this process of putting our home and then seeing him in this space and all of that is just like
a different side, is it?
It's so attractive. I'm like,
look at her. She's melting into the couch.
I'm like, he's becoming, like, oh, okay, this one can be a good father. Okay, I'm getting green flag. So stepping up. So that's what I'm.
Amazing. Love it. Okay, second question. What's the most unforgettable advice you have ever received? Can be good or bad.
Is this in life in general?
Yeah, in general.
You want to go first, Mel?
Yeah, Mel, go first this time.
Wow, okay. One of the best advice that I ever got was don't listen to all the noise that is around you, because it can be very, very noisy, and everybody can tell you what you have to do, and you should do this, and you can do that, and you do that. That was the best advice I got, that it was giving me the permission and the confidence to say, don't listen to all the noise around you. Sometimes you're better off staying home and reading a book or going to that class that you've always wanted to attend. So hearing that gave me that confidence to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to follow my instinct and follow my gut and not be too influenced by the pressures and the noise that are around me. And that came from somebody that I really admired, that I thought was really prolific. So that I felt really helped me change the course of what my efforts.
I think it's quite similar. I think we are all on a race, so just run your race.
Yes.
If you know where you're running to, just run, and the right people will just surround you. And I think that followed me through love, through relationships and career and choices. Just not to compare with people around, because we don't know what they go through as well. But you just focus on where you want to go, and everything that you need and the people that will bring you to that destination will come. So you just need to focus, and then whoever's around you will be the right people.
Love it. And one last question. 3 to 5 words to describe your life right now. Just short one.
Constantly juggling.
Constantly juggling.
But it's a good busy. It's a good kind of busy that I like.
Okay. What about you?
I think for me, for the first time in my life, I can say it is peaceful. And abundance, whether that's love and family, like relationships and health, peace, abundance, and grace. I love giving grace, allowing to myself and to,
I love it. And with that, we wrap up this episode on first homes, all things homes. And I hope you enjoyed the episode, just listening to these two ladies sharing their experience of making their own home.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, it's been so nice. I would love to have this conversation again. We'll probably bring this offline because there's so much to talk about. But until then, you guys, like I always say, don't forget to fall head over heels for yourself as always, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.